Let's switch gears a little bit. What are some of the challenges that can obstruct users from getting the most out of their AI capabilities, including XAI, and how can those obstacles be overcome?
Yeah. So one of the things to keep in mind is, again, once you learn what you learn in your stats 101 class is correlation is not causation. So what we have here are, and Dave mentioned this as well. We have some indicators of directionality. So these are based on the data we have. These are the things that are correlated or predict some outcome. We're not doing in this situation. Now you can do this in the setting of clinical trials, and you can get to causality, but generally, in the payer provider space, we're not doing a ton of clinical trials. So when you do this analysis and you haven't had a control treatment group, you're getting some type of correlation or predictability. And so sometimes you get funny results. It's something that I used to see at my last couple of my last companies. And when I came here talking with some of the data scientists too, they noticed that as well. So that's what happens when you throw a bunch of data in there and see what happens. And that's the one of the values, one of the things that I really appreciate about Medi is we have a lot of content experts. I know some, and I can talk my way through some, but we have a lot of folks who have been doing healthcare longer than I've been alive. Dave's included in one of them, so it's really helpful to have those experts in there that really know the data and the concepts. So you can try, and that to get to your point, how do you minimize that? You have folks who really, really know healthcare and the domain, whether you're in health, whatever space you're in, you know the domain really, really well. So they can help folks like me who know the models really well, might need a little bit of help with that. So that's one thing to keep in mind. How do you fix that? As Dave mentioned earlier, we're not going to be able to explain everything 100%. We're working with real data, not a clinical trial. And so we're not going to have every single factor that contributes to someone visiting the ER. I've mentioned transportation and housing, social determinants of health. Those are tough to get. They're really predictive and really important, and I know it's something that Medi has access to and is really working towards integrating that into our products. But it's tough to get. Not everybody has those, so you have to deal with the data that you have, and sometimes you'll see factors that are explaining things that you can't really quite understand, and it's probably because you're missing something that's really contributing, that's masking that. And all of this leads to my last point, which is what I've been talking about, is just having understandable, clean data. You have to know what the variable is, think of an Excel spreadsheet. What do those columns mean? What does that data mean? If you don't know what it means, I can't explain it to you because I don't know what it means. So I can't explain something to you that's unexplainable. So the data we have to know what's going in to know what's going out.
Absolutely. And that's why having strong partners like Medi, right? Having all these conversations. That's why we like to have these conversations on LinkedIn Live. We have a lot of smart people here in at Medi Analytics within healthcare, and we're all wrestling with these questions. So I absolutely love that, Matt. Dave, anything that you want to add to that before we move to the lightning round?
Yeah, I know it's boring, but domain expertise that Matt's talking about, Maddie's got in just a lot of deep, smart people here. I guess Matt's aged me now because now I've been around longer than he's been in data. So I guess that puts me in some area of wisdom. I don't know. But I think what's important is data has to be as clean as it can be. And even in our own organization, we have very strong data mapping with our really strong data fabric that we've got available to our customers. But data is still data, and models will operate differently. And I think what Matt made was a really important comment. We may be able to, I'll use the word predict in a loose way, something that's going to happen, but the feature that's predicting it is maybe a summarized representation of something deeper. So having extended data, SDOH, claims, clinical, demographics, enrollment, provider, payer information all works well together, gives a much richer, much more trustworthy outcome for that model to output and predict on. So we've done a lot to bring all that data together in one place with some really strong, we call as an introduction, data science factory. We have, the inputs are the raw materials and output is actionable widgets. And I think we've got a really good way, a really smart way of thinking about that. And again, it starts with all that great understanding the data, but also putting it into a format that is usable by our clients and their users. So it's not just Explainable AI is part of the journey and a good part of it, but also inputs and outputs are important as well.